welcome everybody to Weekly Wine Comic Time, episode 4. I'm quite surprised we've actually made it this far.
So am I.
when I was loading it up, I was like, oh shit, we're at episode 4 already. That's great. Hope you guys liked our new intro there. We're going to try to start having some intro music now. We kind of didn't know if we couldn't really decide on what to pick for this show, so we're just going to start playing different geeky music and comic related stuff and things of interest
Other
like that.
fanfare type of
Yeah,
music.
exactly, soundtrack type stuff. So most of the time we'll try to do a little snippet of something like that to lead us into the show for you guys. But yeah, welcome back, and we have it was a good week of comics. We got some interesting things to talk about here. Also today, for the first time, we'll actually be enjoying some weird random snacks in between our picks. A buddy of mine, Mike, shout out to him. He recently went to Texas, and he picked us up a bunch of weird, hopefully tasty snacks here to try for today.
I'm scared of one. One scares me.
Yeah,
We'll get there.
He threw out the idea that it might be fun to try some during the actual show. So so we're up to the challenge here, Mike, and we're gonna do it. So that should be an interesting little thing that we're about to embark on here.
We'll have an ASMR moment, even though Niko doesn't know what that is.
I don't. Christine actually had to explain it to me a moment ago. I don't know the sick things that people are into in the world. Very wholesome.
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, Christine, if you want to take it away here, if you want to let people know what the wine is that we'll be drinking tonight or that we have drank.
So today, forgive me because I cannot pronounce any of this, but we will have a picture of it up so you can go buy it yourself later. The brand is called Pasqua, and I think it is a Sauve. It is a product of Italy. There's a bunch of other Italian words that I cannot pronounce. But it is very affordable. It is very refreshing. It's very citrusy. It's light. It's great for a summer day. I've quite enjoyed it tonight.
Yeah, I also quite enjoyed it. First glass I had, I thought it was a little bitter. Something about the taste kind of was a little off. Sorry, I'm just actually cleansing my palate right now of some of the wine here that I just finished. But yeah, it was very refreshing and very light, and it's good for how hot it is still here in the city of Toronto. And I did quite enjoy it, actually. A couple of glasses in, well, I guess that's most wines for me anyways, but
everything gets better the more you drink.
Yeah, but it's not bad at all, and then the price is right too. I think it was like what, 16 or something.
$16 for a 1.5 liter.
Yeah, so there you go. That's our wine for tonight that we've been enjoying, and then and then also I think something else we should quickly mention is Christine recently put up her last inspiration that she had from last week. Seemed to have gotten a lot of traction here online. You may have seen it if you follow Christine on social media. And she basically did a creation of the bad guy and the Red Barn from Gideon Falls, a book that we talked about last week.
Yeah, so I thought it was really fun. I got a lot of I've always had a lot of inspiration, and Andrea Sorrentino is just a fantastic artist, and just he kills everything that he does. So it was kind of cool just to actually be able to do a recreation and have him and Jeff Lemire actually kind of comment on it, and that was kind of pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, it really was. It's cool to see the response from creators. I mean, between the last 2 weeks, between Mark Millar, who retweeted your stuff, and then Andrea Sorrentino and Jeff Lemire, it's cool. It's cool for them to kind of get in on it too, and may appreciate you kind of taking the time to kind of get inspired by their creations and actually do something with it. And I hope all the listeners, if you do follow Christine on social media, I don't know if we want to throw a plug out there for your Instagram there,
well,
where
we'll
they can
have
view
it
the
posted
pictures.
in our
show notes for
show
you guys.
Notes, yeah.
Okay. Which I forgot to do last episode, so I will do that this time,
Thanks,
guys.
Niko.
Yeah, check the show notes, guys, for our social media, our Twitter or Instagram accounts, so you can kind of see the pictures that are put out when we are promoting the show. So, I really haven't received too much feedback. We do see that some people are listening, but if you are checking out the show, make sure to drop a comment on the SoundCloud page, or even like I said, if you do end up following us, send us a message wherever you do listen to the show from, on the Instagram or Twitter, and let us know what you think. And but thank you everyone who's been listening so far. We've been getting some listens, and hopefully you check back.
Yeah, it's awesome. We'd always appreciate any type of comments, whether you like it or if there's something that we can adjust for you guys. That'd be awesome to know.
Yeah, so without further ado here, though, let's get into the comics, what we're here basically to talk about, amongst all this other craziness, snacks,
random crap,
wine, yeah. Plugs about different things we're up to. How many comics did you read
We have
tonight,
the exact
Christine?
same amount tonight. We have 6 each. So with another new first issue, I'm going to start with Valkyrie #1, which is written by Jason Aaron and Al Ewing with artist Cafu. This setup was well done. I just kind of felt it a little bit boring, this first issue, because we kind of already know that Jane Foster, if you've read the previous Thor up to now, you would know that Jane Foster was Thor. She has cancer. She's in remission. She's a physician. So you kind of know all of this. And now her being Valkyrie is what's new. Whereas now, so you see her as Valkyrie, and then she's struggling to lead a double life, which is fair. And I wouldn't know how to do that. So she's struggling, and you kind of see that, and she's trying to figure out, how to deal with everything. But I don't know. I just didn't love the first issue, but the ending was great. She teams up with Heimdall to kind of deal with everything, and then Heimdall is seemingly dead. Like, the ending brought it up to a 4 for me, whereas that before it was probably about a 3. But that ending was...
Well, how about the villain that shows up at the end?
Well, yeah.
I guess you're not going to spoil that for the listeners. Okay. A very interesting villain that you would not expect in a Thor or Thor-related comic like this to showed up.
But if you read War of the Realms...
Was he in that?
No, but somebody else with Heimdall was.
Yes. That's true.
Connections.
Maybe he will show up, because I know that Jason Aaron did have a fun time writing that character.
Yeah.
I know Jason Aaron, who co-wrote this, also has a great time writing this character who showed up. So maybe that's the case. So yeah,
I ended up giving it a 4. I did ended up enjoying it, but I thought the startup was a little dull.
Well, I gotta disagree with you. I loved this startup. I thought it was a jam-packed issue. Was it bogged down a bit with maybe a little bit too much exposition and setup? Sure. But for me, already knowing this character and already kind of continuing the story on from War of the Realms, I wasn't really expecting too much of this series. I kind of just picked it up because it had Jason Aaron's name on it, even as a co-writer. If it didn't, I probably wouldn't have picked this up. Al Ewing's great, and the artist is fine. Cafu, I'm familiar with that person's work.
But you're a big whore for Jason Aaron.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm a Jason Aaron mark. But it's also like, it just feels like Jason Aaron's weaved in and out of so many different miniseries along his Thor run. This felt like, with his name on it, I had to read. You have to read this. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I can't have not read everything he's put out for the last 5 years on Thor, and not read this and it has his name on
it's
it.
Been a long time.
Right? Yeah. But yeah, so for me, this worked quite a bit, actually. I think for a first issue, even for somebody who maybe didn't know the things that previously came before it, I think that's maybe where it fell off for you, because I think because
I do know.
Right, but you got to think of the mindset that people are coming in just for this character.
Me,
no,
so.
I get it. But for me, it did work. It still worked, even knowing all that. But that's what I said. I agree. It was a little bogged down at times.
Yeah.
The art was decent. And I like this character, and I like her new position in life. Like, I like now that they've still found a use for her after, because for a while there, it seemed like she was either going to not be Thor and die of the cancer, but then when she got into remission, I was just like, well, what are they going to do now? Yeah, exactly. It's not
they
like
couldn't have done all of that with her and then just she dissipates.
No, this is, I think, just a perfect transition for her, honestly.
I like the transition. I didn't love I'm willing to keep reading.
Yeah. But yeah, again, based on that cliffhanger, yeah, I'm totally in. I give this a 5 out of 5, actually.
Nice.
I really enjoyed it.
Good.
All right, so do you want to try out our first snack here?
Sure.
Which one you want to go with?
Let's go with that one.
Okay, so this is, I'll just read the bag here. So apologies for the little bit of the scrunching noises here. This is
the ASMR effect.
There you go. You guys getting off to that? So this is Sabrita's Fiesta Mix. This has 4 different kinds of things in it. It has a Cheetos brand chip, a Turbos Flamas brand, a Rancheritos, and something that's called a Cebratones. So
I'm in.
Yeah, so it looks like a lot of hot and tasty nachos and some Mexican stuff,
hot
maybe.
And tasty tings.
All right, it's from Texas. I'm gonna just grab a little scoop here for myself. Looks like I got a mix of everything.
Ooh, there's some fat things in here. They're like cheesy puffs.
Pretty good. Yeah, I approve of all this stuff. It's like what's it called? Like the Munchies
Our
mix.
Munchies mix,
Yeah,
but better.
Hot and spicy with nachos.
Not that spicy.
Well,
but it has
hot.
flavor.
It's got some heat to it.
It's got a bit of flavor.
And it's got some nachos in it.
Yeah.
So that's good.
I'm in with this.
Yeah. Nice one.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah. Well, for this one at least.
Yeah. I'll be cursing you later.
Okay, next up for me, we got Guardians of the Galaxy 7. This is written by Donny Cates. This issue is with art by Corey Smith, who was, I guess, the alternating artist on this because Jeff Shaw was the artist, his God Country collaborator, oftentimes collaborator artist that he's been doing indie books with prior to this, who's been doing a great job. But Corey Smith really impressed me on this issue. I think he knocked it out of the park. I mean, for not being the regular series artist on this, he really made me kind of be like, wow, I hope he does more issues, because sometimes that's not always the case with the guest artist, but he killed this issue. So in this issue, they dealt with the fallout of the end of the arc of last issue. They kind of just did at the end of that last issue with the wrap-up of the Thanos arc, which was basically him dying and him being up in somebody's body, and it turned out it was his brother Eros that he was hiding in. At the end of that, they kind of just did like a nice little summary issue, basically moving them onto their next adventures, where half the team that we basically were with up to this point disbanded. So at this point, we got Beta Ray Bill and Star-Lord. Nova is no longer part of it. Groot's still part of the team. Gamora is still part of the team. So yeah, so basically, it's just like they had like so many people in that first arc that kind of just banded together.
And then half of them
bailed.
Yeah.
They all met up at a bar to kind of shoot the shit after the whole mission was done. Yeah, exactly. And half of them had to go on their own separate ways. But to be honest, with the team that's here currently, I like a lot of these guys quite a bit. So I'm still pretty happy with the current team. And then of course we know Silver Surfer went into the black hole, and eventually will probably end up back with the team, because right now he's going on with the Silver Surfer Black series Christine talked about last episode, actually.
Yeah.
That Donny Cates is also writing, but yeah, this was a really good issue. It had a really great cliffhanger. I'm going to spoil it just because if you look at the cover, you can basically tell that that's Rocket Raccoon's bloody print on the cover.
I haven't read it yet.
Sorry, folks, and Christine, I guess. But he shows up at the cliffhanger at the end. I won't tell you how he comes to be there or the state of him when he shows up, but I'm
assuming he's bloody.
But I will let you know this issue basically moves them in the direction of a really fun new adventure, and his father, Star-Lord's father, is involved. And if you watch Guardians of the Galaxy 2, his father is not that planet character that was that was played by what's his name, Kurt Russell, in the movie. So it's so just if for anybody,
a tad different.
Yeah, so anybody who's familiar with that version, that isn't his father, but his actual father is in this issue. He does make a reappearance. I think the last time we saw him was during the Bendis Guardians of the Galaxy run. And I'm just very interested in the direction that they're going in. For me, this was definitely a 5. Big fight issue. Fantastic issue. New story setup. Great cliffhanger. Great looking art. 5 out of 5. And the Nova Corps is in this. And they're dealing with a crazy religious cult. So that's always fun.
Delightful.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to go with the Amazing Spider-Man number 26. And this is by Nick Spencer is the writer, and the artist is Kev Walker. So let me tell you, the cover of this got me real excited because I was getting whole, like, superior foes type of moment that I just wanted. I didn't feel it.
Not even a bit?
I was let down.
Boomerang's in it.
Yeah.
And so is the Beetle, who is also in Superior Foes.
Okay. So, yes, they're all in it. And that's
not
great.
Everybody. No, not everybody. Overdrive
no.
And some of them. Yeah.
Some of them are back in this issue, and it was good. I just didn't really need it to be a whole, now we're going to create a women gang, and we've grabbed the Beetle, and what's her name again?
Well, that's the new Electro, essentially.
That's right. Yeah, because I know she was in the last
Yes.
Few, but yeah, like she is being the new Electro, and the new Beetle is here, and they're literally just creating a lady team to.
They're almost like the female Sinister Six, which a lot of them are based off of actual other villains of Spidey's, like a female Electro, a female Beetle. They're all like new versions of the characters which may not actually be around at this point, or they're related to them, or these are the new generations of these villains, and essentially they've all banded together to take down Boomerang, who is Peter Parker's roommate.
Yes, which is all fine and dandy. It's just, I didn't like the way that it came about. They're all very like, oh yes, we need to be a women group. We need to stick together.
Right.
And I can go on this topic for a very long time, but I won't. I just didn't love it. I did give this a 4. I wanted it to be so much more with that cover.
Mm-hmm.
It just wasn't. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't have as much fun as I wanted to with it.
Yeah, no, fair. I feel the same way in the sense that Kev Walker, the artist on this, I love Kev Walker. I think he's a great artist. I think he's a cartoony artist. Like, his cartooning is actually a good fit for this issue, but the fact that, again, even though the cover is by Ryan Ottley, because I got that Superior Foe vibe, and because we got a issue earlier on in Nick Spencer's run where Steve Lieber, the artist who did Superior Foes, actually came back and did like a flashback little sequence. I was hoping that he did the interiors to this, but he didn't. So that kind of was kind of hurt me a little.
Bummer.
Well, yeah, and he's doing a Jimmy Olsen book over at DC right now, which is fine, good for him. But which I heard was great. We didn't read it, but I heard it. I heard it's very
it's
funny.
It's just funny the way you said it. That's all.
Yeah, no, I just wish
it's great.
I just wish he came back for a couple of issues just for
agree,
this story.
I agree.
Right?
I'm not denying it.
But yeah, no, I definitely liked it more than you. I do love that dynamic between, like, I like that Peter has a friend, and his friend for once is like an ex supervillain who's living with him.
He's a few of them,
and he's kind of a douche because we know him from Superior Foes. Like, he's kind of a dick, but and unpredictable, but he's actually trying. He's trying to be a better person. He's trying to be a good friend to Peter. So I like that. And Peter's not somebody who has like a ton of friends, right?
No.
So it's good for them. I like the buddy relationship these two have going, this odd couple living together. I definitely know what you're coming from with, like, the women all banding together, but that's why I also appreciated the moment where Electro, the female one, said, nah, I'll pass, I'm good. And the only reason that she basically said, yeah, I'm all for this whole women revolution thing you guys are doing here, but like, you know what? Yeah, I don't really give a shit about it, really. To be honest, she was just like, yeah, I just want to get some quick cash, get some revenge, and then the only reason she got roped in was the fact that they said they're taking down Boomerang, which Beetle has a pass from with Superior Foes.
Man.
Listen, I gave it a 4.5. I hate to disagree with you yet again, but here we are.
No, you don't. You love it.
No, I just liked it a little bit more than you did. So what can I say? I love Spider-Man. All right, so let's try out one of these Takis, this wild flavor. If you've been to the States, you've probably seen these around.
We have them here.
Actually, we do, but they don't seem very popular.
No, and
they're
I
more
don't think
popular
we have
in the
a lot
States.
of these flavors.
You're right.
Spicy buffalo tortilla chips. I just feel like this has ranch dressing on it.
Well, that's what they show on the cover. And they're actually...
They get hotter as you eat it.
Oh, really? Not for me.
No?
Mm-mm.
Oh.
Yeah, you know what? It's a little disappointing, to be honest with you. They're not bad, but they're not, like, anything special either. It's actually more like just like a nacho, just a slight hint of flavor.
Mm-hmm. Now, Canada, bring the hot Cheetos, the flaming hot lime Cheetos. It's all I want.
Yeah, who knows if they even still have them in the States, though, right?
They do.
All right, never mind. We like their flaming hot Cheetos, but the lime ones, yeah, much better.
Mm.
All right, so next up for me, we got Web of Venom Funeral Pyre, #1. So this is written by Cullen Bunn. The art duties were pages 1 to 5 were done by Joshua Cassera, and 6 to 30 was Alberto Albuquerque. That's not to get mistaken with Raphael Albuquerque, because Raphael Albuquerque is much, much better than Alberto Albuquerque. I've seen his work before on a few books. I believe he did this Letter 44, Creator-Owned book with Charles Soule, if I'm not mistaken. I've seen him pop up a couple of times on these Venom kind of one-shots that they've done recently and other Marvel stuff. I'm not a huge fan of his, nor was I of the other artist, Joshua Caceres, at the start of this. So basically this was another one-shot in these Web of Venom one-shots that they've had, not always written by Donny Cates. Some of them have meant more to the overall story than others. This one, I definitely could have done without. Cullen Bunn is a fine writer. He did the tie-in issues for the War of the Realms stuff for Venom. They were okay. And this one basically reintroduced a character that was from Cullen Bunn's Venom run, which had the symbiote in her at one point. And that's basically what's going to happen with this Absolute Carnage. Like, he's tracking down all the people, I guess, that had the symbiote in them, because now there's, like, this whole hive mind of the symbiotes going on with the symbiote god. And now Carnage is tracking them all down. He's killing them and basically taking over, their bodies and all this kind of shit. And there's, like, a cult that's, like, worshiping him. So there's a lot of shit going on in Venom. We'll probably get more into it once Absolute Carnage comes out, but being that we really haven't spoken about the book that much since starting this show, it's a lot to get into at this moment. But basically, yeah, this served as a one-shot to reintroduce this other character who had the symbiote. And then she also somehow has some sort of demonic powers now, where she can resurrect monsters from, like, demons, basically from hell. Again, I don't know where that came from, but it felt like I missed out on something once again. Like, I never read Cullen Bunn's run on Venom. He was the writer who took over for Rick Remender after he left. I read Rick Remender's, but I didn't stick around for Cullen Bunn. And I just find that his stuff is more of a... This guy writes like fucking 50 books a month, it feels like, Cullen Bunn. And it's more of like a quantity over quality thing.
Yeah.
I love certain things he's done, like Six Gun, of course, Harrow County. But then other things, I'm just like, eh.
It depends on what he's also passionate about, I think.
Right.
Like,
because this is just like probably... Because those are both creator-owned books I mentioned.
he has more of a passion.
This is just pays the bills, probably, right?
Yeah.
So for me...
At least that's what it kind of feels like.
Yeah, for me, this was just okay. I gave this, again, another 3. Between the mix of the art that I didn't love and the mediocre story and the knowledge of this character, which I didn't have, and I don't feel they gave a good way of explaining everything that I may have missed out on prior to this, I had to give it a 3. And, I hate for ratings to get impacted as a result of my knowledge. I feel I am pretty knowledgeable, so if you don't do a good job of just giving me a little bit to go off of when I'm reading a book, I got to give it a lower rating based on that. So
fair enough. So my next book is Archie versus Predator, and this is the second series. This is story by Alex DeCampi, line art by Robert Hack, and coloring by Kelly Fitzpatrick. I feel like I'm a downer in this.
Nope. This was terrible. Let me just take the words out of your mouth if that's what you're about to say. I hated this. I'll tell you right now.
But I'm feeling like I'm very... I know I enjoyed some of my readings this week, but I'm not loving this so far.
No. I think this is actually a pretty good week, but for whatever reason, we just started out with all the bad ones.
Shitty.
Let's get that all out of the way.
And then end up great.
Yeah, let's get that all out of the way.
Because, listeners really want to hear about the shitty things and then end on the great shit, right?
That's how it goes. You go out on a good note, not a bad note.
If we were smart, we'd probably mix a little in between to give somebody a little hope.
Next time.
Yeah, no, this wasn't good. With the Archie talking in fucking emojis and Dilton fucking somehow having a predator mask and calling predators now to them, which you only find out on the last fucking panel, pretty much. Yeah. No. It was cheesy and...
Here's the thing about this, and I checked my stats on this one. I wanted to make sure I was coming with the correct information. Archie vs. Predator, their first series, was introduced in 2015. 2015, everyone. We read that at that time. Yeah. We read it. But that was fucking 4 years ago. And it's been written by this... I don't know if it's actually written by the same writer, but the fact that... Yeah, it is, actually. Sorry, I just checked that. It's written by the same writer. And this writer may have went in and got his old scripts and reread what he did, or may know it just based off experience. But for me, with how many comics we read, how the fuck am I supposed to remember with no there was no explanation in this book.
Unless you're just like an epic Archie fan and that's all you read.
There was no explanation. There wasn't even, at the start of the book, they're like, last time we left these characters, they didn't even fucking give you that.
Nothing. I was lost.
Right. So the Archie that you're referring to that's speaking like emojis is apparently like a predator. Somehow he's
like
in
an alien.
Archie's body.
Yeah, pretty much.
And they're referencing the fact that this happened in the last miniseries.
Yeah, but you don't fucking know
for 4 fucking years ago.
Yeah.
If this was a more regularly scheduled miniseries. If this was
last year, it was like season 2, yeah.
Okay, so there's that. Then they fucking are talking, they're breaking the fourth wall all over the place. I know. Like, knowing that they're in a comic, knowing that they're in the Archie world. I was just, knowing the fact that there was a reality that they came from where Veronica married Archie, because there's that whole thing.
Yeah.
They mentioned that in this. I was like, what are they doing now? You pick a lane.
They're multiverse.
Yeah.
We can go into anything because we said multiverse.
See, now that could be fun. All these things, these concepts could be fun if handled properly. But this was not.
Literally, after all of this was stated, then somebody went, oh yeah, this is the multiverse.
Yeah.
How the fuck do you know this?
No, there was no context. You're basing this as a sequel off of a series that came out 4 fucking years ago originally. And not only that, you're breaking the fourth wall. You're mentioning
shit's whack.
Yeah. This was terrible. I like the art. I think the art was appropriate for it.
Yeah.
Robert Hack, he did the art on the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina comic.
Yeah.
So I thought, because in the first miniseries, if you recall, they did a more classic Archie style.
Yes.
Which I thought was wrong for a book like
weird.
this. I get it. They want to do shocking things in the classic Archie style. Yes. Like a predator killing somebody. Kind of funny, but at the same time,
I didn't hate it,
but I'd rather something like this.
Yeah.
For me, the preference in that. Anyways, what did you give this book?
A 2.
I gave it a 2.5. Probably because of the art.
I gave it a 2.
Okay, so yeah, well there you guys go. That's just.
This is why I'm saying I'm a downer tonight.
I unfortunately think we've already pre-ordered the second issue out of
I'll
5.
try it. I'll try it. I want to like it.
Yeah.
I liked the first one.
Yeah, same. I don't. I think we're
This
done with
one
this one though.
sucks.
To be honest.
Yeah,
with you.
I do too. After that,
Yeah. All right.
just read another one before you do another snack.
Yeah. So next up, I got a book that I was highly awaiting. I'm very happy to talk about it right now. House of X by Jonathan Hickman. Art by Pepe Larraz. This is, of course, the first of 2 6-issue miniseries, oversized issues that will be coming out weekly for the next 3 months.
What?
That Jonathan Hickman is embarking
even know
upon.
this.
And at the end of that, in October, he's going to launch 2 new series. One that he's co-writing with Ed Brisson of the New Mutants, and another one which is basically his ongoing X-Men book that he's going to be writing. And that's probably the plan for the next few years, apparently, at least from what he's been telling people. Yeah, so yeah, this is Marvel paying a writer probably very well to come back and right the fucking ship that is the X-Men, because it's been such a mess for such a long time. And now that they have some of the movie property stuff back, I'm sure they want their comics to be in line with what they have planned as well. Not that that's always the case, because the comics are usually wildly different, but they're probably like, hey, let's get this visionary creator over here that basically brings himself, and not only that, his design, his design,
creativity and everything.
Yeah,
Just
I mean, first off, when
the
you
whole
open the
shebang.
book, you can tell it's a Jonathan Hickman book right off the bat, because
once you've read one, you know his layouts.
Yeah, Jonathan Hickman is a great designer. Like, he's a great graphic artist. He's a great designer. He creates logos for his books. He creates fucking pie charts and graphs and statistics and breakdowns in between the story chapter. And you also always have a 2-page intro. You got a 2-page kind of first scene setting you up cold open to the X-Men, and then you get the 2 pages of everything else that Jonathan Hickman's going to lay out for you, the title of the story,
the writers, like all your whole catalog of writers and people who worked on the book, and then other little things, and
like aesthetically he brings something to the book that he is known for. So that's what you're basically paying for with this guy. Like, he's not only, and I hope they pay him extra for this kind of thing, but I don't think this guy can work any differently, because this is how he works. Yeah, this is him.
I don't want him any other way.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But this is what you have come to expect of Jonathan Hickman, and he's somebody who is very different. He stands apart from any other writer, I think, currently in comics, like the way he
100%. Yeah.
So
I've never read anybody like him.
So I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of context. If you aren't familiar with Jonathan Hickman's work, or the X-Men for that matter, definitely pick this up, because I'm already gushing about it. I gave this a 5. I loved this first issue. You don't really need to know too much about the X-Men. The only thing that would help is if you maybe knew all the characters that he kind of brings into this story so far in this first issue. If you knew who everybody was, that would help a little bit, and I'll get Christine's opinion on this in a moment, because she knows some X-Men, but she doesn't know many. And even for me, I didn't know everybody they were name dropping in this issue, and I feel like I've read a bunch of X-Men comics at this point. But yeah, this was just excellent. I'll tell you straight up, mutants are not fucking around no more after reading this. Like, this is them all banding together.
Owning their shit.
Yeah, this is everybody following Charles Xavier's dream for like the first time. You got everybody on the same playing field,
including Magneto.
Yeah, well, that's happened before.
I know, but he's actually like gung ho.
Yeah,
he's taking the reins.
Well, that's the thing. There's been other instances of seemingly everybody being on the same page.
I don't know what I'm talking about, because I haven't actually read X-Men comics. I've only watched the movies.
There you go. There's been other instances over the years where there has been seemingly everybody seems to be on the same page, but eventually that falls apart. It is a soap opera, the X-Men, and not only that, it's just the way he presents the story so far it's just so laid out for you. Yeah, strap in because I'm going to talk about this for quite a few minutes here. This is my one issue I wanted to talk about quite a bit on this episode. So basically, they open up with them inviting, I guess, to them who they think are, at this point in the story, government officials that represent humans on Earth to their new, like, oasis, like their new, like, land, essentially, Krakoa, which is like the living mutant land mass, almost. Like that's
land.
Who who I famously remember in Wolverine and the X-Men as being the land that the school was on. He's not as animated in that, like you don't see him as a face, but he serves so many different amazing purposes for the X-Men. Like and then Hickman also introduces the fact that everyone's following Xavier. He has this awesome fucking helmet on that covers his face completely and is in the form of an X. It looks very Grant Morrison-like, like from his X-Men run.
Yeah, it's like a full helmet.
Yeah. And everyone's following his vision, and he and apparently they introduce you to like a 2-page little synopsis of all the drugs that the mutants have now made for themselves
for
and humans.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm just going to name off a couple. So, one of them says human drug L, delivery mechanism, fabricated / synthesized pill. This flower produces a drug that extends the life of a human for 5 years. And then they have another one. These are all kind of set up like this. Another one that gives them adaptive universal antibiotic. And then another one that produces a drug that cures diseases of the mind in humans. So, like, like any, like, of the mind. Like, it's crazy. Like, any,
It's like a fucking psychedelic.
No, but it cures diseases of that sense. Like, it's just like,
Alzheimer's.
Yeah, thank you. Alzheimer's.
Dementia.
Yeah. Anything like that, it just cures. Like, which is insane. And then the mutant ones are like, this one gives you a pathway from one place to another when it's planted.
Yeah.
Which they do in this issue multiple times.
Yeah, it's those flowers,
Yeah. This one is a non-naturally occurring flower, produces a habitat that exists outside the collective consciousness of Krakoa, a place within the island ecosystem that Krakoa doesn't know exists. So you can actually make another ecosystem outside of Krakoa, but even though everything else is connected, they made one thing for those maybe special moments where they need to get away, where they don't actually want Krakoa knowing where they are. Yeah, which is, again, infinitely interesting. Like, all the data that he dropped in this issue and things that are probably going to get picked up upon in future issues, I just can't wait for.
Yeah, and that's why you really have to read everything that he writes in between.
He is one of the only writers I also reread pages. Like, sometimes I'll read a few pages, I'll go back. I'll be like, okay,
and refresh and really accept because
sometimes you can glide through other comics and then I'm like, you know what? I don't understand this fully.
I want to make sure I need to,
so Hickman definitely,
you gotta
you
gotta
take
read
your time
a little bit, and like you said, take your time, really, and just delve deep into it.
But then, like, there's a moment, for instance, that they're trying to steal some of their devices from Damage Control, who is the cleanup crew in the Marvel Universe that basically goes to sites and steals, cleans up and eventually does take items for themselves from their cleanup. And then you find in this that Sabretooth and Mystique, they're tasked to go and steal a device for themselves from the Damage Control headquarters. Fantastic Four interrupts them, tries to basically take it back. Cyclops comes out of a fucking portal. It's like, well, listen, what's gonna happen here? Like, are you guys gonna give him back to us? Because, like, it's kind of like an immunity of the sense that they're their own nation now. Like, he's like, these are our people, not yours. You can't. In this jurisdiction, you can't do it. He's like, no, he committed a crime here. He's guilty. He's like, we're taking him in, and he's like, okay, all right, be that way. He's just like, all right, but just to let you know, I'm like, he's like, this, we're not gonna stand down, like, basically, like, he's basically saying, like, you guys will, we're here now, and then you find out, he's like, oh yeah, by the way, tell your son Franklin, because Franklin is an Omega level mutant. By the way, I don't know if you never knew that about Franklin. Franklin has Omega level powers. Like
Didn't I see that in the
Fantastic Four? They explain
No, I know,
that.
but don't they have that in that
Yes.
whole diagram?
And as soon as he mentions him,
diagram.
as soon as he mentions him, they go into a whole rundown of all the Omega level mutants currently in the Marvel universe. And
you know who I didn't see on it?
Who?
Xavier.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, he isn't.
I know. It's just weird.
It's because Jean Grey is a more powerful telepath.
It's just odd.
And so is, what's his name? Our friend Quentin Quire from Wolverine and the X-Men. He's also
weird,
in the...
you think of Xavier and you're like,
right.
Yeah.
But he's got the vision. He
Yeah.
is a very powerful
Visionary,
telepath.
yes.
But that's what Jonathan Hickman does such a great job of doing. If you didn't understand what an Omega level mutant is over time of X-Men in the history, they've talked about them a lot. He breaks it down for you. He's like, listen, this is somebody at the peak of their level.
Abilities,
Like, there's nobody stronger than them. And he's like, you can be an Omega level mutant for different powers. He's like, but no one is better than you in this power set. Like, he's like, that's just the way it is. So, like, it's just things like that. Like, they'll even drop the mention of something within the actual story flow itself, and then he'll go to a page or two to break everything down with fucking pie charts and graphs and this, but it's chock full of information to get you into this world and to get you interested in these characters. Like, for some, they may not want to read all that, but for me, I'm so invested in this. Like, I'm just...
I love a good map.
Yeah, but this is one issue. This is one issue of his vision, like, and this is somebody who's probably planned out his whole 4 years on these fucking people, right?
He's not somebody who just jumps into something lightly, it seems. Like, I can't imagine him just being like, yeah, okay, I'll just deal with this, and, like, just friggin' do all this shit in one sitting.
The only thing I got to question and see if you know is that this middle part where you find out they have basically a sentinel up in space that's basically helping them with the Doomsday protocol.
Yeah.
Like, these were all humans here, right? These has nothing to do with the mutants. This is them. Okay.
That's what I got out of it.
Right.
I got that's humans.
Right. So in the middle of all this, you see that the humans are going... And it's a sentinel, so there has to be mutants. Yeah, they're basically going out of their way to set up their own doomsday scenario situation, because they're saying within 3 years' time, the mutant race could overpopulate the human race in this world. And not only that,
and
because they've already created their own Krakoa like basically piece of land that they're living on and basically making like a haven for just mutants.
It's not really a land, like it's a fucking world.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's
like that's a legit world, like that they're creating.
It's a big landmass, though. It's like so basically, that is their spot. They even say though at the end, like the closing sentiments by Magneto to the people that they brought over to basically give them a tour of the place, and they found out they're all traitorous people that were basically just trying to collect intel. He's like, oh yeah, by the way, we want you guys to know what we're up to here. He's like, we are now going to take over. He's like, if you can fall in line, or basically like
if you don't understand where we're getting at here.
Yeah,
we're above you.
Yeah.
Do you know what we are to you? Yeah.
Crazy. Just so fucking good. Yeah, here's what he says. I have a new word for the lexicon of man, Krakoa, and in the future, when you speak it, make sure you do so softly and with proper deference, for we will be listening.
Yeah.
And then just this Magneto. Like, that's how the book ends. I was like, oh my fucking God.
Yeah.
He's like, you have new gods now. That's what he basically turns around and said. Wow. Wow, what'd you think? I'm sorry I talked forever on that.
That's okay. I'm not going to say too much, because I know we talked about it for quite a bit.
Yeah.
I gave this a 5.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've only read very mini series of X-Men-esque books. I have not read any main title X-Men. I have only read very minuscule, off to the side type of X-Men books, and which I have loved. And this is the first mainstream X-Men that I've read. And this was phenomenal. I'm so glad I waited for Hickman to come on.
Yeah, I think this is a good starting point for any of you guys out there.
Again, if nobody else has actually read something else, this is a good starting on point.
Yeah.
You just have to be ready to accept the way Hickman writes.
Yeah.
And be ready to delve very deeply into things.
Take your time analyze what's going on, reread if you have to. Don't rush through it.
Yeah, just take the time.
But
it's
if you're not
so worthy of it.
I agree, and he's also a long form storyteller, but it
Yes.
pays off in spades as
Like,
evidence.
he knows his story.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to pay off in 2 issues. It's going to pay off in 14.
Yeah.
Like, it's so good. Like, he plans his shit.
You also need to be reading both of the miniseries that are coming out. That's what he says. Everything's basically playing off of each other. So I think this is House of X. I think Powers of X comes out next week. And like I said, this is going to be going weekly until October. So this isn't going to be the last you hear of us talking about this. So
It'll be shorter next time, I promise.
Absolutely. And the Pepe Larraz...
I'll review it first.
The Pepe Larraz art was good, too. All right, go on.
So my next book, 10 minutes later.
Oh, fuck off.
So my next issue is Farmhand number 10. This is created, written, and drawn by Rob Guillory. I freaking love Rob Guillory. I will follow him to anything that he creates. So this issue has basically gone through a whole lot of shit. You start off now where I was kind of in shock. You have a full uterus and fallopian tube plant creating something, which we don't quite know yet what it's creating. But that's in the works. And from there, we have Jed is still in his hospital. His son Zeke is now with his wife, trying to cope with all of the issues that his farm has created and his transplant farm. And they have gone through, they've now accepted everybody in who has had a transplant, who's having issues. They're talking to them. They're interviewing with them, and they're kind of, they're going through everything, just front, right, and center. And then all of a sudden, you get this fucking guy who had a skin transplant, basically, because he was burnt, and he creates sap, like burning sap.
Yeah, like he can shoot out of himself.
Like his skin, he can spit it. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And he almost escapes, and like this whole, like, just the creations and the creativity and the characters, everything in this, like the worlds that they create in this book is just so awesome. I gave this a 5. I just thought it was so good. It's creative. And then there's a pretty big cliffhanger at the end here, which I won't say because I'll leave something to the mystery here. But yeah, no, I gave this a 5. I don't know. What did you think?
I also gave it a 5. I agree. The art is always good. It was another enjoyable chapter. It was actually the end of the second arc of this book, so the second trade paperback will be coming out soon. So if you guys haven't had a chance to check out this book yet, definitely go support it. This is a creator-owned book from Image and by an artist, First Endeavor, famous from doing Chew, of writing and drawing the book himself. So definitely go support it. It's a great book. And right now we're just in the thick of the story. A lot of stuff's going on. A lot of interesting kind of moving pieces. And like you said, the cliffhanger they left on, I don't know. I can't wait till the next issue.
I know.
So yeah, Farmhand, definitely check it out. I also gave it a 5. All right. So now time for our next snack. Which one do you want to try out first, Christine? You're saving the grossest one for last?
After we finish all our comics, I'll try the gross one. So if I need to go puke, I'll do that.
All right. So take a piece of this. What's this one called? This is Picositas belts. All right. Deliciously spiced, it says.
Ooh. This one I was excited for. I like this.
It's not bad. It's like a sour belt, but it's spicy.
It.
It's got chili powder.
I like this a lot. This is what I was hoping for.
All right. So then probably the only one that's not going to be good tonight is the last one.
Oh, that's what I've been waiting. Well, not waiting for, but postponing.
My next book is Batman: Curse of the White Knight. This is the sequel to the first miniseries that Sean Murphy drew, inked with and wrote, and with colors by Matt Hollingsworth. So this is, I guess, book 1 of 7. I think this is like another 7-issue miniseries. Me and Christine quite liked the first one, Batman White Knight.
Oh yeah, it was so good.
And this is
Very different.
Yeah, and this is Batman Curse of the White Knight. It's basically like an Elseworlds Batman story where in the first one, Batman turned out to be almost like the bad guy. The Joker became sane for a short period of time and became Jack Napier from the Batman Tim Burton movie, which is what his name was in that. Your favorite actor there, Jack Nicholson. So that was his alias only in that movie, never in the comics, because he's had so many different kind of origins at this point. But he put that into it. He had different multiple Harleys in the first one, so he actually made up a story of why there is the Paul Dini, Bruce Timm classic Harley, and as well as the new like whorish one. So you found out they were actually two different people. So that was interesting. There was a lot of interesting experimental kind of things. He kind of obviously tried to do a lot of Batman the animated series stuff and movie stuff, kind of just all different kind of eras of Batman that he enjoyed, and mashed them all up in the story with the fantastic Sean Murphy art. He's a great artist. That was the first series, and this series basically now this one is going to be focused, it looks like, on Azrael, which Azrael is a character that's not well loved by the Batman community, I find. He was Paul John Valley, who at one point donned the helm, the Batman cowl, and back in the 90s, after Nightfall, he basically took over for him for a short period of time because he was unable to basically do the duties of Batman after he got his back broken, amongst a bunch of other shit that occurred. And for whatever reason, people just don't love the character. Recently, I think James Tynion did a good job with him in Detective Comics. You read that as well, yes. Christine? He was actually pretty cool in that. And so far, he's kind of interesting in this so far. I mean, like, obviously, Sean Murphy's art helps a hell of a lot. But in this one now, Joker, instead of Jack Napier, has taken over his body fully. And he works his way out of Arkham Asylum. And he is now out to disgrace Bruce Wayne and the Batman even more so than he did in the first series. Because at the end of that first series, he did not come off well-liked Batman. No. He flipped the tables to the point where they imprisoned him at one point, yep. And Gotham City has basically turned their back on Batman at this point. And they're basically moving forward. Nightwing as well is working for a task force to help institute the changes and help the city of Gotham for a lot of the shit that is not actually good at this moment with Gotham City, that Jack Napier actually started. Implemented, yeah, exactly. So the fact that they kind of continued with that part of the story, I thought was really interesting. But in the background, we got all this whole ancient Arkham Asylum stuff going back to the 1800s or something of Gotham, and how like Bruce Wayne's family was involved, and like this like vampire count dude was involved, like a lord of some sort, and how that's tied to Arkham Asylum, how it's tied to Gotham City, and sorry, not even 1800, 1600, 1685. And basically, Joker says he has something that's just going to disgrace Batman and his family even more. So yeah, good starting issue. The one complaint about this issue was there was a scene where Gordon, he ended up dying in the first series. Mm-hmm. He left a letter for Bruce in this. Alfred. Not Gordon.
Yes.
Sorry. Alfred ended up dying in the first series, and there's a moment in this where he finds a letter that Alfred wrote to him, and the fucking lettering in the panel of the letter that you're reading is so fucking small.
Oh,
was there a letterer credited here? Or was this Sean Murphy? Because it was terrible. Did that not bother you?
No.
Oh man. It really bothered me. Like I said, like in one of the last episodes, I said if letterers aren't doing their job, whoever's lettering, you'll notice it.
Oh, sometimes, but I didn't have a problem with that.
I don't see a letterer credited anywhere, so maybe it was Sean Murphy, and maybe he was trying not to take away from the art. Oh, sorry, And World Design Letters, which sounds like a corporation
Yeah,
of
it's just
letterers.
a corporation
Yeah.
that he sends it out to.
So that explains that a little bit. This was not done well. For me, that really bugged me. Like, the lettering, you could barely read the letter. It was so small. Anyways, minor complaint. I gave it a 4.5, though. Good first chapter, amazing art.
Haha,
Yeah.
I finally gave something more than you. I gave this one a 5.
Okay.
The letters didn't bug me. But no, I really like this. I like that they kind of are going more into like the history of Gotham and the history of Arkham, and I'm really intrigued. I'm not going to go too much more into it because Niko did a pretty good job kind of going into everything. But yeah, like I
gotta leave you a little bit more room here to comment on these
I know.
things.
You pretty much do a really good job.
Thanks.
I
try.
Pretty much. But yeah, like I really enjoyed this. I thought the art was obviously phenomenal. And the storyline was very interesting. Like I said, there's not much more I can really go into without just spoiling more shit. So yeah, I gave this a 5. I quite enjoyed it. So my next book is Ascender, which is number 4, which if you listen to like 2 weeks ago, I gushed my heart out for this friggin' book. This is Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen's book. So Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen both basically are storytellers in collaboration together. This was another great issue. This issue has flying turtles, dragons, and a drunkard sailor. Pretty much all you need to know for a good book. Yeah, like the main characters are running away, which we know from the last issue.
Awesome.
They literally jump off a cliff onto a turtle's back in the air.
Yeah.
And this turtle is ginormous.
Yeah. And that page in particular, the watercolor work was beautiful.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I mean, if you guys look at the art in this book, Dustin Nguyen is very good. He does watercolors over loose pencils. But that page in particular was stunning. Yeah,
so phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like it's so good.
Yeah.
Like this for the art alone is just fucking worth it. But the story in it too is fantastic. I give this an easy 5. Easy 5. I've loved every issue in this friggin' series.
I know. You gush about this.
It's better than Descender. Easy right now.
Oh no, I don't know about
really?
that.
I would say right now I've enjoyed this. Not to diminish Descender. I'm not diminishing Descender.
Yeah.
But I have enjoyed Ascender more.
Ascender.
Ascender.
No.
There's
no Driller in this, so Driller is a killer. No, that
guy came in like late.
That guy's my boy, though.
Maybe he will. You never know.
That's true. I would love to see him.
You
again.
never know.
I would love to see that robot again. My one complaint, and I said this about it, I think last time we spoke about this book as well, is that it reads too fast.
But it's so enjoyable.
Yeah,
that's why. But it's not over wordy.
No,
like it's because certain ones. Even tonight I've read some books that are fantastic.
Yeah.
But the wordiness.
Yeah.
Just kind of.
The Spider-Man was a little wordy.
It away.
The Valkyrie book was a little wordy.
Yes.
Yeah. It although it doesn't bother me when you're enjoying yourself and you're wrapped up in those words and you're wrapped up in what's going on.
But sometimes the dialogue is too dialogue-y that it takes you away.
I agree. And like you said, this is the perfectly paced book, and I'm not going to give it this rating based on that. I just gave it a 4.5 though because
Boo-worms.
It's a great book. I mean, if you want a reasoning of why I gave it that, it's just like, yeah, that plays into it, and also the fact that it's just, it's a fun issue that just moved the story along, but nothing crazy substantial happened for me. So, all right. Lastly, my last book here is Doctor Strange number 16, written by Mark Waid, art by Barry Kitson, and finishes by Scott Koblish. So I think he also drew a little bit of it and did the inks. I don't think you talked about it on this show, but you did talk about it to me personally with the last issue, that the art was looking a little looser than it was previously in this arc.
Yes.
I agree with this issue. With this issue, it definitely seemed, because he must have been on a time constraint in pumping these out, which is why he had a finisher to begin with. Although the art was pleasing to me much more than it was for you, because it felt like this felt like a throwbacky story from like the 90s, and that the art also reminded me of that. And again, Barry Kitson and Scott Kolish are guys that worked back then, so it makes sense. And same with Wade. Like, these guys are all like older creators, been around for a while, so for me it very much worked. But in this issue in particular, I felt you can definitely see some of the shortcuts being made, some of the rushness of putting this art out for this book. But this is one issue away from concluding the Galactus storyline that was going on. In the end of the last issue, a bunch of random-ass people, some people which actually don't even make sense to this story or to Doctor Strange's history, which I kind of feel is odd. It's just like, you felt like the artist is just like, let's try this guy, let's try this dude. All came to his aid in this battle against Galactus, this like world-ending event where he's basically just consuming these fucking other dimensional beings that Doctor Strange is people that read Doctor Strange may know, or that he knows within like his history of his comics. Basically have all come to take down Galactus, and he's just consuming everything as Galactus does. He hungers, right? It never ends. But and then in this one, as always, you find Doctor Strange has some fucked up version of how he thinks things are going to go down in his back pocket. He's very conniving like that, where he'll screw over people to a certain point to kind of get what he wants and to save the day.
He'll lift himself.
Yes, absolutely. So that's what I like, and I think that's been an ongoing theme in Mark Waid's run on this character. And it happened again in this issue. I won't tell you what happened. I don't want to spoil that part of it. Otherwise, though, it was just kind of like a big throwdown issue of everyone fighting Galactus and him destroying some people in the process. I gave it a 4.5 because, like I said, some of the art deterred from my enjoyment, as well as the fact that, kind of rushing to the finish line at this point with the story. But it's been a hell of a lot of fun, this arc.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm excited to read it because I haven't yet.
Yeah.
So my last book of the evening is Sonic the Hedgehog number 19. This is written by Ian Flynn with art by Jack Lawrence. I love this book. It's such a fun book. I love this issue in particular. Has Rouge the Bat and Shadow both in it, and those are two of my favorite characters. And literally, they're such a big part in this. Sonic is, doing the same thing, trying to save the world, trying to make sure everybody's protective. Rouge even steps up and is kind of becoming a leader and trying to provide, salvation, I kind of want to say, for the people who have not been infected by Dr. Robotnik's, metal disease, or zombots, as Sonic likes to call them. And they go through, and Shadow comes in, and he's just a cocky motherfucker.
Oh, yeah.
And if you followed Sonic and you know Shadow, he's a cocky motherfucker.
Even I know that, yeah.
And he is so good in this. And, I haven't seen him too much in the... I think I've seen him maybe once before in the series. And, so he ends up becoming so cocky that what happens... he becomes a zombot.
Oh, shit.
Uh-oh.
That's not good. So what'd you give it?
5.
Nice. You love that series.
I do love this series.
All right, so do you want to end on us having this now, or do you want to give your favorite of the week and then...
Give our favorite and then eat that.
All right. All right. No surprise, I talked about it for half the fucking show. House of X by Jonathan Hickman was my, and Pepe Larraz was my favorite of the week.
Ascender.
Of course. I knew it. I knew it.
I'm predictable.
Guys, 4 episodes in, she's picked it twice as her favorite of the week.
I'm a predictable human being. I'm sorry.
You guys could
It's just so good.
all team up on Christine with me when it comes to her predictability.
My predictability?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's so good. Okay, are we gonna eat this shit? I'm scared.
Yeah, we're going for it. Here we go.
I don't
All right,
want
so
to.
for everyone guessing at home, because we haven't actually called it out as of yet, these are the sour pickle balls.
Blah. I'm not a very big pickle fan.
I don't mind pickles, but yeah. Okay, also don't hold this in your hand for too long because it will stain.
Oh. Okay. Well, you better grab yours fast then.
All right, here
so
we go.
scared.
Here we go. Try her out.
It smells.
Oh.
Ah.
Take a bite. Take a bite.
Ah.
Dude.
Ah. I don't like it.
Oh, the rush of salt that comes in your mouth, right? Disgusting. Oh. Well.
Oh my god, that's disgusting. Mike, what did you do?
So, a little backstory. That is the one thing out of this pile I've actually tried prior to now because Mike gave me one. Disgusting. The fact that I took another bite was ballsy enough. Christine's trying to shove other chips in her mouth.
I don't like pickles.
Oh.
No.
All right, now our cat's trying to eat it. Great. All right. And with that, I think it's time to wrap up, Christine.
Have a great night. Let me eat some food.
See you guys next time.
Thanks for listening.